Digimon Story Time Stranger will release sometime later this year. We didn't get a release date at Digimon Con, however, we did get confirmation on who you can pick from for your starter Digimon, one for each of the typings between virus, data, and vaccine. There's, of course, elemental affinities, which will also impact the modifiers to damage, but we'll ignore those for this video. To make things easier to understand for newcomers, it's best to think of it like a game of rock, paper, scissors. Data beats vaccine, vaccine beats virus, and virus beats data. Admittedly, this is just a damage modifier, which is a core mechanic in any RPG title. Now, obviously, we don't have information yet on what the primary typing compositions will be like in Time Stranger, so the choice between Patamon, Gomamon, and DemiDevimon is going to be more related to whichever one you like best in terms of looks. And I'll revisit this topic after the game launches and I've beaten it in regards to which is one of the better ones for the meta. But I want to go over what each of these Digimon are about, their general role in terms of team composition, and what their Digivolution lines can look like. That way, when the game does come out, you can make a more informed choice and pick one that'll suit your playstyle better during the early going of the game. We'll start with Patamon. So just an interesting aside, Patamon was my favorite Digimon from the first season. I just loved his design. For Season 2, it's Vmon, who has remained my favorite Digimon to this day. So what do you need to know about Patamon, and why would you choose him over either Gomamon or DemiDevimon? As a whole, Patamon and some of the lines he can go down tend to be rather support-based, either by buffing your monsters or by healing them, which tends to be more efficient than using items. Basically, this means Patamon isn't the star of your team, but he makes your other teammates better. Think of him like the glue guy on a sports team. Of course, fans of the Digimon Adventure series of anime will know Patamon digivolves into the Angemon line, which does light-based damage, which does more damage against Dark Attribute Digimon while also taking more damage from that type. Meaning when Patamon digivolves to Angemon, it'll do 3 times the damage against something like a Devimon, since Devimon is a Dark Virus type. However, Patamon represents the data typing. In both Cyber Sleuth games, Patamon can digivolve into the following forms: X-Vmon, Angemon, Gatomon, Birdramon, Unimon, and Repamon, meaning you can change what he turns into based off your needs when you're ready to turn him into his champion form. However, if you're sticking to the adventure canon where Angemon, Magna Angemon, to Seraphimon is the default line, it's more of a support-based Digimon going from data to vaccine and being really good against some of DemiDevimon's default Digivolutions. But more on that line later. As a whole, I'd say pick Patamon if you want to get some good support skills early on while looking to capture damage dealers down the line, since there's going to be 450 Digimon in the base game, and of course there will be more when the DLC comes at some point. As a whole, I think if the game ends up being packed with Dark-type Digimon, Patamon will be the best choice for the Angemon line alone. Otherwise, I feel like the other two might turn out to be the better picks, potentially. So for the Gomamon line, you have another piece of fan service to Digimon Adventure fans, and using the adventure canon, it goes Gomamon to Ikakumon, to Zudomon, to Vikemon. Primarily, this will be the vaccine line, though you do have other options if you choose to go down that path. The best way I can describe this line is high defense and some decent damage output. This line has low speed though, so basically if you're needing to tank a lot of hits from Fire Attribute Digimon, this is where Gomamon is going to come into his own. You also get some decent support skills if Time Stranger stays true to how the Cyber Sleuth games handled things. Depending on how heavy the early game is with virus types, Gomamon could be the best choice. But if it's data heavy, then players who pick him are going to be in for a tough time. Overall, Gomamon isn't a bad choice, as he can operate as a tank who can dish out some decent damage against fire-based virus types. His support skills are more versatile than the straightforward healing spells you'd typically get from the Angemon line, so if you favor versatility, this is probably your best pick. I'm probably wrong on this, but my gut is telling me DemiDevimon will probably be the best pick for starters. Using the website Grindosaur, he has much lower base stats than the other two. However, he fills a different niche from either of them. For Patamon, it's healing and one support skill that increases intelligence by 10%. For Gomamon, his role is to tank hits, deal some damage, and remove a status effect. DemiDevimon, on the other hand, pokes for some very minuscule damage and healing itself with Demi Darts, or inflicting the Confuse status with its secondary attack, or you can use Attack Break to lower an enemy's attack by 10%. On paper, this looks like the weakest pick out the gate, but it becomes more interesting at higher levels. Also, Digimon as a game does let you digivolve and de-digivolve your Digimon almost at will to change up your game experience for the task at hand, or if you're not satisfied with the end result of a Digivolution. But since I'm an adventure fanboy, going to the end of the line, which is Venom Myotismon, I can't help but enjoy how fun that line is as a whole. Much like Patamon, DemiDevimon is more of a supporting piece on the team than he is the outright star, which is something I want to talk about next. Admittedly, Digimon games tend to give you more versatility with your starter than they do give you an outright all-star. They've really doubled down on this for Time Stranger, since all three of your starters seem to be taking on more of a supporting piece role than that of a star. It would seem they want you to go out and find your star player as the game progresses, which is a nice piece of game design. Digimon games are all about the bonds you create with your Digimon, and this design philosophy is shown in that. It's similar but different to Pokemon. With Pokemon, you do create a bond with your starter, but usually they're the star of your team in that region until you get access to legendaries, at which point they become more of a supporting cast member. With Digimon, you can have a much larger party and team composition becomes more important, putting it more in line with something like Shin Megami Tensei. But I find it interesting each Digimon starter for Time Stranger is more designed to fill a niche, as all three on offer are kind of mid when it comes to their base stats, and their attributes are also more on the niche side. So which Digimon are you going to pick for your starter? I think I'll likely start with Patamon, then get the others when they become available later in the game. Thanks go out to my current channel members, R. Campbell, Danny Boy, and Doug S. If you'd like to gain early access to most of my videos, exclusive content, and get shoutouts during the credits of every video, then hit the join button or the link in the description. If you want more of my Digimon content, then click the playlist appearing on screen now, and until next time, keep blazing that trail.